And I think a lot of times we'll save, like when God give you something, it's like, oh, that's for later. But like that later gonna come eventually.
The time's gonna pass
yeah,
anyway. Do it
literally
now.
that like that's but that like so what are you gonna do with it? And so when he told me that, I was like, oh, I got the perfect thing. And then when I started doing it, God would speak to me like, this is what I've called you to. But I was like, there is absolutely no way. There is absolutely. What's up, y'all? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Let It Be the Podcast. I'm your host, Bre Fergie, and I just want to first of all say Happy New Year, 2025. And I don't know if your 2024 was like mine, but it literally dragged me by the little edges that I have. So if you made it this far, you are blessed, okay? So I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to Let It Be the Podcast. Like I said, I'm your host, Bre Fergie, and I have my homegirl with me today. My special friend, Adavia. I call her Davy sometimes. So if I say that in a conversation, it's Davy. That's what I call her. Her name's Adavia. I don't know what you want the people to call you or not, you know. But thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, friend.
Hi, friend. Adavia is like a lot of the times that y'all have watched the podcast or you've seen some things on my social media. My friend Adavia is so creative. She's a lot of times the creative. She gives me the ideas, the visuals a lot. She's done my photo shoots. She is a woman of many talents. So Adavia, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Okay, so
like as we getting into this episode, I felt like we're, you know, at the start of the new year, something light. But Adavia she asked me, she called me one day. And just was like, hey, I got an idea. And I'm like, you know, what is it? She thought it would be dope for me to be on the interview side. And I was like, wow, what a great way to start the new year, just to give me an opportunity to kind of like see myself as human too. Cause it's a lot, like being like a one woman band for the most part. Like it's a lot to I'm always in like producer mode, editor mode, you know, like host mode. And I never really, I know I share a lot of my story and things, but I never really, I just never thought about myself like you being interviewed on your own episode. But Adavia has seen she's seen this from infant stage, you know, and I love that idea, friend. So thank you so much for voicing that. We're going to have you on an episode too, but I just was like, dang, I love that idea. And I think you're the perfect person to do it. So thank you.
Thank you for trusting me with your baby.
Listen, and it's crazy because when she take trust, I don't know what's on that paper. I don't know what she gonna ask me. So I just hope that whatever it is something that's fun. You get to know something new about me, new about you. You know, I don't know what's on there, but we're gonna get into it. But yeah, so I guess let's just get started. What you want to know, girl?
Yeah. So we've talked about just like in our own conversations on the phone. Even though sometimes the topics can be heavy, they can also be lighthearted. And so we can get consumed with our struggle, consumed with the disappointments. But what I am most excited to hear from your perspective is something that it's like a coined phrase, I feel like, of yours. Mm-hmm. And something that you've said is, like that was a God wink. And so define what a God wink is for the people if they've never heard of that. Or like, what is a God wink for you? What does that mean?
I never phrased it. So first of all, I'm going to say shout out to my homegirl, Nia. Shout out to Blacklit, because Nia, in conversations that we've had, she kind of helped coin it like, oh, that it's like kind of like God winking at you. And I never would have thought of it like that. But I would say like, how would I define a God wink? Have you ever thought about like it's been like something that like, God, am I doing the right thing? God, I just need a sign. That's basically what it's like, an acknowledgement, you know, like, God, I just need a sign from you. Like, am I on the right track? And then something crazy will happen. Something that I've thought about, something that like, man, I've been looking for this answer and it'll come up in a conversation. It's just kind of one of those serendipitous moments where it's like, God is like, hey, I'm here. Like, you was right. Like, I'm like looking at you like, oh, okay. That's what that means, I would say.
Okay. So that leads to like the next question. Mm-hmm. What moments come to mind that felt like a confirmation from God So a moment where you felt like God said, I see you, Bre.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So many of them.
Let's get like your top 3.
Top 3 God winks.
This year.
2024.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I'm trying to think like a start to one.
Should I give you categories?
Yeah, like help me break it down.
God winks in relationships.
Okay.
So family, friends. You don't have to talk about your, romantic life. But family, friends, mentorships, community.
Yeah.
God winks. God winks in your maybe self-esteem or moments of where you're like, ooh, that was a boost to my confidence, a boost to like added value to my self-worth. A God wink in a accomplishment even. Just
Man. Let's start with relationships first. I'll say like, first of all, I seen this earlier today. Like a lot of times we'll be on a path and we like, God, like, are you like, give me direction. Like I need to know, like, am I doing the right thing? Mm-hmm. And I seen somebody say this earlier. Like a lot of times, like we'll be on a path. It's like, God, okay, I don't hear you, but this is where you said go, but like, I don't hear you. And somebody was like, the GPS is silent when you're going the right way. And I was like, oh,
okay. Go ahead. Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Related to GPS.
Okay.
A little off topic, but GPS. When I first moved to Dallas, my GPS, every turn, every exit was going off, like talking to me constantly because I was always getting lost.
Ooh.
And so it was to the point where I would pull over and almost cry because I was so overwhelmed just driving here. So, and it's trusting yourself. Now we might not even need to use our GPS as much because this is like home. But yeah, I never thought about it. Like
the GPS is silent. Yes. And it's like, I think sometimes we just want that confirmation. Like, God, if I'm going down the right path, just show me. Because I know I ask God that a lot. And I'll say like a God wink earlier last year, I was like, I knew, I'll say backing up to even 2023. That's when I was like, okay, God, I'm going to let it be back up. But I don't know what I'm doing. And so like, if this is what you want me to do, you have to order my steps. And like, I think that there's a certain point of time where like you have the knowledge, you got the understanding, like, oh, I know how to do this, but I've come to the end. So now it's like, God, am I on the right path? Show me. And I would say like, once I picked back up Let It Be, and I invested, bought my equipment, bought all the things. I'm like, well, I don't know how to market. I don't know how to run a business. Like, I didn't know all of these things. And I remember watching first of all, I would start with the job that I got. I wasn't looking for work like for a time while I was building, because I'm like, okay, God, this is what you told me to focus on right now. But then it was like, okay, God, for the money, I need some money. Like, and then he gave me this job in 3 days. Like from the time I found it, interviewed and applied and was offered, all of it happened in 3 days. And that was kind of like okay, this is what you need. I'm with you. But then it wasn't about like, I knew that job was always going to be temporary, but it was like what I got when I got there. Like he didn't give me the next, like, it was like I needed to meet a need. I needed a need met because I needed to pay my bills. But also in that like, opportunity, it also taught me how to market. It taught me how to create organizational structure. It taught me how to just, even when I found my LLC, I remember watching a podcast. I'm like, okay, God, like, oh, I'm learning how to do my marketing. I'm learning how to do these things. But then I was like, well, I don't know how to like structure this and like, what else is this? What am I supposed to do? And I remember watching somebody else's podcast, and she's a boss. She's an entrepreneur. And it's somebody that I'm very fond of, somebody's podcast that I watch a lot. But after watching that episode, I was like, oh, I'm supposed to like start my LLC so that I can protect what it is I got. But so sometimes like when we have this idea, it's so big and overwhelming. We think we got to have everything all at once. And I think that makes us like, that hinders us from even starting. But I did have those thoughts, but God didn't give it to me until I was ready. So it was like after watching that episode, it was like, oh, a God wink. like, oh, this is what you needed, and you prayed about it, and it came in ways that you didn't expect. And so I would say that was one, like with the podcast, and then even going even further into relationship, and one that's just fresh on my mind is like how God will work all things together. So one of my goals in 2024, I was like, I want to be on somebody else's podcast. It had been a while since I was on somebody else's podcast. And so that was something that I kind of wanted to do. But it's funny, God moves through people. So my homeboy was like, hey, I was on this podcast. You should get, like you can sign up. They interview, like he was telling me the concept of our podcast. And I was like, I don't want to talk to strangers. Like, I don't want to talk to somebody I don't know, blah, 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 blah. And ended up doing a podcast, and that became somebody that's been like super like hold near and dear to my heart. She's like my little sister, my mentee. Shout out to JoJo. But
What's her podcast?
It's called Behind Our Portraits. It's kind of on pause right now, but you can definitely find it. She has some really good episodes, and I'll make sure I link it in the description. But that I was on her podcast, and me just trying to do something like out of my, something that I wanted, but I was also in a space where I felt like I needed like community.
Right.
And I was praying like, God, like my prayer was like, God, I want to be connected to people who are on a faith journey with you, like whose life is dependent on you, and I just didn't know how fruitful that relationship would have been. And so I think that those are moments where it's like how God will like bless you, because he also knows the areas that you're not even speaking about that you want or that you need. And it's like, well, God, I wanted this, but you ain't, he's like, okay, do this first. But then like the answer will be in that assignment. And so that's what a lot of my 2024 was. So I would say those are some God winks.
That's good too. The answer is in the assignment, but also in being obedient to what God has assigned you to do. And even sometimes we don't even say it out loud. We might not even say it in a prayer. We may not express it to anyone what our needs are, but God knows. He knows the desires of our heart. And when we don't vocalize them, but they are met, that is often, at least for me, like the moment where I'm like, oh, wow. Like you do see me. You do hear me. Yes, exactly.
And he works through people. I want to ask you though, like, tell me a moment, like, tell me like a time where you was like, oh, that was a God wink. Like, oh, thank you, God, for seeing me. And even though I didn't even ask for it. And
yeah. Well, I have one at church and then one at school.
Okay. So
this is a desire that I hadn't said out loud to anyone, but I was just thinking, I was like, I really, it's kind of silly. I was like, I want to be in a group chat. And then,
okay.
I know, I don't even know where this came from, but I was just like, I want to talk to people more. So I joined the small group at church, and lo and behold, I get added to the group chat. And I didn't know, like, I did not know that was the group chat, right? And so maybe I was thinking, oh, I wish my family had a group chat, or like, I miss my college girlfriends. I wish that we checked in with each other more. But in this group chat, we often will share like testimonies, or we'll share scriptures, and there will be reflections in our group chat. And there was a time where it was like every reflection that was shared was very relevant to something that I needed to hear, or something that I was experiencing, or even relevant to like the chapter that I read in my Bible that week. And I was like, oh, okay.
You see me.
Okay.
That's good. And
then at school, so last year, was it 2023? 2023, I took a break from the classroom. And that was a long 6 months.
I'm proud of you for that, though.
Yeah. And I went back right at the end of the year, like 2023, right at the end. And I went back into the classroom January 2024.
Yeah. It's weird. We at the start of the new year, so it's like, what year is this? Yeah.
And so I was a little self-conscious. I was feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm the third teacher that these students have had in this class. Like, I got to make sure that I perform well. I got to try to build relationships with these kids. My periods are first and second period. Like, it was just like, first period can be tough. Okay. And at the end of the year, I had a student write on her final, like, you're a great teacher, miss. Like, thank you. And this was a student that I was a little hard on this student, but I just paid close attention and had high expectations. But when kids tell you that, like, you're doing good, or I have learned from you, or thank you, I was like, okay, God, you want me here. Like
it kind of validated an area that you needed at the time. Yeah.
And so relationship, and then of course, like, relationship as far as in community and church, and just like the acknowledgement from my students really means a lot. Yeah. So those are God winks.
I can even take it a step further. Even I can't even tell you how many times you've been like, you validated something that God has said to me, or like, I think that's why community is really important. And I think it's important to have being your authentic self, so that, like, because like when you're surface level, you're gonna only have surface level people that won't be able to speak to the God in you, that won't be able to like acknowledge, like, let me not even say acknowledge, or heck, even acknowledge like those dreams that you have are pushing. And I'll just say, like, which is why, like, when it comes to art, like when we gift exchange, or when we are like there's things that you share with me that you want to do, and I'm like, hey, I want to pour into that. Let me get you this. Or like, you'll do the same thing for me. Like, hey, you remember when I said X, Y, and Z, and it's like, oh, I see you. Or, oh, I really wanted that, and I didn't even know, like, oh, you paid attention. It'd be like those moments. Like, and that's why I value like our friendship so much, because you are like one of my most creative friend, like, you know, and I love that about you. I love your optimism. You always bring like a joy, especially like if I'm feeling like low, because you see me in ways that most people don't, you know what I'm saying? And so I just want to publicly give you your flowers. Like, you know, I appreciate you, friend, because a lot of times when I'm feeling like I'm at my end, I don't know how to start. Even with this, like when you call me about like, hey, I think you should be interviewed. And I'm like, well, you gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that's what you expected to happen or what, but like, it's those little moments. That's why, man, community and honesty is so important. And vulnerability, I would say, is super important. So that way you can, like, when you're honest with yourself and honest with the people around you, that's how God is able to bless you. Because it's like, I'm going to meet a need through the people around you. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know. Absolutely. I appreciate you, friend.
I appreciate you.
Yeah. Hope I answered your question too.
You did. So, going back to just kind of like thinking of our friendship, but also our phone calls. In one of our recent phone calls, you said something that stood out, and it was that you have a desire to have conversations that lead to ministry. So how has that come to fruition for you? Whether it's through a podcast, whether it's through conversations you've had with strangers, friends, your family. How have conversations that you've had led to ministry?
To be honest, it took so long for me to, I would say, come into agreement that this is the direction that God is leading me. You know, I fought it for a long time. I thought like, oh, I can do a little sprinkle here, tell you a little bit here. I didn't think that it was going to be my life.
Okay.
And that was really hard to, that was like, I feel like people who know me, people who like have seen me evolve, or like if they're able to kind of read between the lines, I did a lot of my episodes kind of scared, you know, but when you think about the conversation, it was like one of those things you can't run from, because it's in me. It's in me. It's in the way, like, and then especially the things that have happened in my life and the way God has like come through, or like moved me here, or connected me with this people. It's like, I didn't do this. And so I think
you're in
that
alignment,
literally with alignment
and obedient
girl. Listen. And then it's like, I think that for a long time, like I knew that I had a call towards like ministry. I would say in 2019 is when it was confirmed to me.
Okay.
And the way that came about, that's why I said, again, like being like exactly where you're supposed to be. Because I was at a space where I was working a job that I did not like. And I was like, well, I want to find a fulfillment or purpose outside. Because it's not working in the work, you know? So I was like volunteering and just doing things. And honestly, when I met Jamal, like, and we connected over like Mizzou. He went to Mizzou, and I was like, oh, I'm from KC, and so it went from there to me volunteering with him for his organization. But then he saw something in me, and I didn't know this man at the time, you know what I'm saying? But he saw something in me, like, hey, I've been wanting to like teach Bible study. I'm like, why do you think that? But God had already spoke that to me, but he confirmed it through somebody else. Again, like a God wink, like he confirmed it through somebody else. And even the preparation for it, I was like, I've never done this before. I had never ever done anything like that. But God gave me an idea that was closed in my journal. And I was like, maybe that's for later. And I think a lot of times we'll save, like when God give you something, it's like, oh, that's for later. But like that later gonna come eventually.
The time's gonna pass anyway. Do it
literally
now.
So what are you gonna do with it? And so when he told me that, I was like, oh, I got the perfect thing. And then when I started doing it, God would speak to me like, this is what I've called you to. But I was like, there is absolutely no way. There is absolutely no way that you don't call somebody like me. You know what I've done, like the way that I've thought, the things that I've been through. And I think for so long, I didn't agree. Yes, and so I was like, let me do a little bit here. But I guess saying all that to say, to answer your question, I disqualified myself from being used by God because my experience wasn't traditional. I'm not no PK. I don't want to be a pastor. Like I didn't, like those are not my ambitions. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be an influencer. All of those things that I didn't want to do. But God was like, but you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And you don't have to morph into those things. Just be who you are. And so being able to share testimony or to interview people who've been a part of my testimony, who've helped me evolve from one level to the next, or who've inspired me. It's like, that's ministry. Our life is ministry. Ministry is not, let me get on the pulpit, open up the Bible and read scripture to you. Because like going a little bit deeper, like the times that we are living in now, the way that all men are going to know, are going to have an opportunity to know is through us.
True.
It's through us walking in obedience. It's through us coming into agreement with who God has called you to be. And so for me, it got to the point, and I'll be honest, like the end of 2024 was really, really hard. It was like, I was like, I don't like, only by the grace of God have I been able to get through this. But I realize now, like even in those hard moments, produced opportunities for ministry because somebody felt like, well, I'm not qualified because look at what I'm going through. But it's like, oh, but let me tell you, like I went through that too, but let me tell you how I overcame. That's ministry. You get what I'm saying? Yes. So like I think I hope that answers your question. Like coming into it, like being able through conversation, it's just through our testimony. The Bible says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony. And so like, I don't think we should keep ministry or put ministry in this box. Like it has to look like it's coming from the pulpit. Like you minister with your life.
Absolutely.
And so I would say, I hope
and
that
how you invite
it.
others in and how you see them and let them know too that they are welcome, they are accepted just as they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Okay. I have some rapid fire questions for you. Okay. You ready for them?
I think so. Can I ask you something crazy? Let me have a little drink of some tea.
Don't worry. Just let's see. Okay.
But what if I hold on? What if I get distracted and start talking about something else? Are you gonna bring me back? Do I gotta like answer it like fast or what?
No, it's okay. I mean, you know, I remember if it's like either or, just keep it either or.
Okay.
But if you have to provide clarification, I will let you provide some clarification as well. Okay. Hot weather or cold weather?
Warm. Probably hot.
Okay. KC food or Dallas food?
Oh, you gonna get me in trouble. I have not lived in Kansas City as an adult, so I'm gonna have to say Dallas.
Okay, what's your favorite place in Dallas? Top 3. I already know one of them.
Tell me. We were just talking about Coco Shrimp.
Coco Shrimp.
That's not even, I don't think, that's not exclusive to Texas, by the way.
But we don't have that back home.
No, we don't.
So it's Dallas food.
Favorite food? Dang, I need to get out more. I don't know. I'm probably really basic, Adavia. Like, I'm so basic. Oh, Dallas Vegan Food House. I love Dallas Vegan Food House. Like I'm not. I don't say I'm a fake vegan. Like I used to be vegan. I eat like fish and cheese sometimes. But
someone said vegan adjacent.
Yeah.
Before, I thought that was kind of funny.
Vegan adjacent.
Vegan adjacent.
Like I ain't had like meat and all that. I ain't ate that in 6-7 years. But
or vegetarian adjacent. Maybe.
Yeah. So what I say, Cocoa Shrimp is like one of my favorite little hidden places. Dallas Vegan Food House, and then this ain't really a restaurant, but Cookie Society. I love y'all. Like I want to be a Cookie Society, so I love Cookie Society.
Yes. And where are they from?
What's crazy is that one of the owners, he played for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know if they from KC, but I know that he played for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, so we'll give that both though. Both. Okay, Bre, do you have any hidden talents?
I can sing. No, I'm just playing. I can't sing. I can't sing. Hidden talents? Maybe. I can cook. I can braid.
You can cook. What's your favorite thing that you cook? Your favorite meal, dish?
I made regular black food for New Year's. Like
what's regular black food?
Like greens, that don't know. Like greens, black eyed peas, cornbread, and I think I had fish. But I would say another favorite thing that I like to cook. I like breakfast. Breakfast food is just easy. It's lazy food to me. But I just made like some broccolini, these garlic roasted potatoes that I like.
For breakfast? Broccolini for breakfast?
Oh, no. I was saying breakfast. I like breakfast food, but like I made like a broccolini and these roasted garlic potatoes. That's my favorite thing.
Sounds good. Have you ever smashed them?
I did.
Okay.
Those were kind of smashed, salmon. Yeah, but I like to get creative though. Like I feel like when I was a vegan, I probably was way more creative in the kitchen because you kind of had to be. But yeah, I can cook.
Maybe incorporating some vegan meals throughout the week this year.
Yeah, because I don't eat like fish with every meal that I have. But I want to do more of that this year.
Okay. What classic gospel song would you like to hear Keyshia Cole cover? If you don't know, Bre thinks that Keyshia Cole... Let me rephrase this before I get kicked off the podcast. Keyshia Cole is Bre's long-lost best friend. So there, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. But let me tell you why, though. It's because, I'm sorry, these ain't that rapid, but I'm just...
They're not, but it's okay.
But Keyshia Cole is somebody who... Like, I've always loved Keyshia Cole since I was young. It's not about her personality or her...
celebrity or
it's not at all about that. And I'm speaking about Keyshia Cole, like not Keyshia Cole today. I mean, shout out to sis. But I'm saying, like, growing up, what I loved about her is that she did not fit the mold. She was raw. She also she showed us, like, her family, and it made me realize, like, oh, everybody's not perfect, you know. And she was just herself, and like I too am a little like rough around the edges, and it's like people used to tell me, like, why are you so gangster? Like, I don't know, you know. But I saw her, and I was like, she like that too, you know what I'm saying? So I've always loved Keyshia Cole, and then also like her music. Like her music, and so that's why. But what would I want to hear her sing? A classic gospel song? Dang. I ain't really grow up in the church like that, so I don't know a whole bunch of classic gospel songs, but like Amazing Grace was the first thing I thought about.
Okay. I could see Keyshia singing Amazing Grace. And
it's probably on YouTube. I need to go look.
We're not going to listen right now.
Okay.
All right. Your favorite place to spend quality time with God?
I love being by the water. So a lot of times, the older that I get, I like being in nature more. And so I'll go on a walk, on a hike, or go by like a lake or somewhere by the water and just kind of sit and listen to the I don't say the ocean, we ain't by the ocean, but listen to the water. I think too, it makes like the ocean makes you feel so small. And so it's like my problems, you know, it just kind of puts things in perspective. So I would say that's like one of my favorite places, or the gym too.
Yeah. How so in the gym?
I feel like God, I can hear God. I feel like my conversations with him, I get all my most of my creative downloads from the gym. Maybe because I be desperate, like God, please, like at least when I'm doing cardio, like on the Stairmaster or something. I feel like I'll be able to like kind of like be present, pray. You know, like that's kind of one of my,
because you're really trying to power through. Yeah. And then what you have to center yourself to like what helps you power through.
Yeah. And you know what helped me with that though? Like I had to stop listening to like rah-rah, like the music.
Absolutely.
Like, cause I used to like think like, oh, I need the beat
breath,
to
huffing and puffing.
Yeah. But I was like, I need the beat to listen, to, you know, to get through. I'm like, no, I feel stupid listening to this music. So I stopped listening to rap, like gospel rap and things like that now. But I would say sometimes like I be having headphones in, but it'd be really like me and God.
Just to block out the noise. Yeah. So with you saying being in nature and also when you're in the gym, in nature, it's almost like, well, it's not almost, it is, you are surrounded by God's creation. And it's like you, again, feel small because it's like, well, look at what God has created around me. I can go outside and literally view what he has created, what he has allowed me to experience when I feel alone or when I don't know like where he is. I just look and he's everywhere, in the birds, in the trees, in the water, like everywhere. And then you've said this before too, with your consistency with working out is you are being a good steward of your body, a good steward of your health. And our body is a temple. And so I think it does please God too, when he sees us actively caring for, this creation that, you know, we're, what is it?
A vessel.
A vessel, but no, we're leasing this body.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I think when we are good stewards of it.
That's funny. That's what God, he gave me that word that was my word of the year last year, stewardship. And when he said that, I was like, oh, he finna give me some dough. He was like, actually, I need you to steward everything that I've given you already. And so one of that, like I had to really pour into just my physical health, because it was more for me. It wasn't just about my physical health; it was my mental health. Like it helped me, and also like while I was sober, like all last year, I probably would stay sober to be honest. But being
of sober mind done for you? Like how has it? Of course, I know it's beneficial, but for you,
for me. So I think I said this on an episode before about how like I did it if I would have been able to foresee everything I was gonna go through last year. Sis definitely would have been in here laid on the couch with a glass of wine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, like, alcohol's not bad, but because, like, I know myself and, like a crutch, you know, I would have used it as a crutch. But this time, since, like, I stopped smoking weed years ago, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, I was never a big drinker, but sometimes, like, when you go through stuff, you just want to feel better. And a lot of times I just wanted to feel better. And I think like God knows what he's doing, because I remember in 2023 when things would happen, I'm like, let me go and have a glass of wine. Cause like, that's something that we'll just do. Like, oh, I need a glass of wine. I want to relax. But I wanted to relax a whole lot last year. But God was like,
you needed to be attentive.
And so it helped me because I had to lean on him and not a vice. Absolutely. And so it was uncomfortable, but I had to face myself. I had to identify, like last year I was the most vulnerable I've ever been last year. But it was because instead of like numbing what I was feeling, I had to feel it. I had to acknowledge it, and I had to address it. So like,
and let other people in too to help you through it.
Yeah. So that's why I forgot the question that was before that.
What was it? We talked about how did sobriety like serve you this past year? Okay, what does rest look like for you? We were talking about rest some time ago. I don't remember
when I got sick.
Oh yes,
girl. So I think that I'm after that experience, and like where I believe that God is like how he's leading me. I recognize now rest gonna have to look a lot different for me. Okay. Because since I don't work in like the traditional structure. Sometimes I could be up at 2:00 in the morning or sleeping until like all over the place. And so I'm a person, like I work better with structure and routine. That helps me. So like, what did rest look like before? It didn't. Like, and I would say backstory, like it was last year, like early December or so. I could feel my body getting tired, and God was like, okay, I need you to rest. But I was so stressed out about things that I needed to get done. I was like, I don't deserve rest right now. Like, I feel like, and this is toxic thinking, but I was like, work is for people. I mean, rest is for people who work. Like, you got to earn your rest. And God was like, who said that? Who said that? Like, your body is a vessel. You are you're stewarding the body I gave you. And even God rested. So who are you to
he
think?
gave us a day to rest.
Literally, like your Sabbath. So he was like, who are you to say? And I was like, well, maybe I won't go to the gym. I'm going to go on a hike. Girl, I was already aching, and I went on a hike. And my homegirl had called me like, you don't look good. And I was like, thanks. You know? I was like, thanks. But it literally, like, the next day I couldn't move. And I was in my bed for 2 days. Like, you know, I couldn't move. I didn't eat. Like, but that experience really showed me how, like, first of all, you don't have to earn rest.
Right.
Rest, like, Sabbath is for time for you to slow down, connect with God. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the things that are going to be, like, need to be done, they're going to get done. Right. But, like, I guess answering that question, I'm still trying to discover or discover what rest look like, but I know it's vital. So I would say, I guess you helping me with like my goals for the year. Like, rest looks like having a day where I do nothing, where I pour into myself, where I do nothing, you know, like prepare to just pour back into myself, take care of myself. So I got to be intentional with that, especially because my life is a little bit unorthodox right now. So,
and that's okay.
Yeah. What rest look like for you?
Girl, I'm a busybody. Like, I come home and I won't sit down for 2 or 3 hours. I'm just up doing stuff. I call it moseying. Like, I just like mosey around. Like, I'm cleaning a room, or I'm like cooking, or I'm putting something away, and I'm just like, I recognize I'm busy. I don't know if I just have pent up energy or what, but rest is often forced upon me. Like, I sprained my ankle, and what did I have to do?
Rest. Sit
on the couch, get ice, prop my leg up, and be still.
Did you like scrape your knees up or anything?
No, but I do have grass stains on my jeans. I know, it was embarrassing.
Sorry,
I was trying to do some of the choreography from Beyonce Bowl, but we won't talk about it.
You left that part out.
I did leave that part out. And I just like rolled my ankle inside of my boot. Like, it was ridiculous. But
dang, I wish I could have saw.
I laughed. When I fall, I laugh. You know, you have to be able to laugh at yourself. But rest, I too sometimes feel guilty when it's like, oh, well, I'm going to stay in bed longer. I'm not going to do anything today. When it's like, we don't always have to be these productive little like machines. Sit down somewhere. You deserve it. You come home after working out, or you come home after work and you need an hour, or you need 30 minutes. Like, it's okay. So I think we need Black women especially, we have to give ourselves permission to rest.
Because we feel like we got to do everything. I got to get this done. I got no, like, it'll be there, you know? Like, and I think that I'm learning, like, life is so fragile and precious. Like, time, think about how fast last year went by.
Absolutely.
You know, like, it'll be there. Relax. Like, give yourself time. That is something I'm very, like, trying to be intentional. I have to be intentional about this year. Like, whatever you got to get done is going to be there, and it'll get done. Like, rest.
Yeah. Transitioning a little bit.
Okay.
So, you've had 38 episodes of Let It Be, the podcast.
Published, yep.
Okay. What has been your favorite episode?
Ooh.
Or one that you look back on and that comes to your mind often? Like, if someone that does not know about Let It Be the podcast and you said, oh, I think you should start with this one, you should watch that one. Ooh. What would that be?
I've had so many great conversations for so many different things, but I'm just going to say the instant one that came to my mind is the one with my mom.
Okay.
And that one is one of my favorites because, like, if you watch that episode, then you'll know why. But me and my mom, like, we have come such a long way. Like, growing up, like, I had like a rough childhood. Me and my mama didn't have a relationship for a little while. We didn't have a good relationship for a little while. And there were times where we couldn't sit down and just have a conversation.
Right.
And so to see how God has like moved in both of our lives, to be able to sit down for me to like be vulnerable with her, to tell our story on the camera, I never thought that would. Girl, I thought that I could like bury my past and just move on. And it's like, no. And it's
you had to address it head on.
But then like to share that with the world, I was like, man. So I think it's like big. I think that was one of my biggest God winks. Like God can do miracles. Cause I remember I used to pray to just have a relationship with my mom. And like, she's like, my mama is like, man.
The big homie.
Man, my mama, especially like this holiday season too. Like, man, my mama has just really been like my safe space. I love you, mommy. I know you're watching. She has really been like my safe space.
Isn't that crazy? Man. And I think we have to be adult women before we can forgive, before we can like see like, oh, my mom, she's a person. She's a human. She's not just.
But you know what? It took me time to heal myself. Like therapy. I remember one time, I'm gonna be so honest. Like I remember one time I was having a conversation with my therapist, and I was just frustrated. Like, if I can do it, why can't you do it? If I can go and seek help, why can't you? And my therapist was like, "Hold up, sis." She was like, "You are afforded opportunities that most people were not." And when you say afforded, it's talking about a mindset. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Like some people don't know that that there's another way. Some people don't know that like, oh, I don't have to stay this way because that's all that they've seen. Yep. And so when she said that made me kind of like pause. Like, well, I know what my mama been through a lot of things too, and like.
And to not judge.
Yeah, and so it helped me see my mama. Like, think about like. I'm not saying my mama's broken, but like think about like people with a broken heart. You come from a brokenness, and then you got these kids, and now I got to give these kids a life. But it's like I'm just trying to make sure you survive. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I've done the best that I could so you can survive. Like, I'm sorry I wasn't like the ideal parent, but it take you to learn yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, and once I was able to learn myself, it gave me the space to give my mama grace and to see her as a woman who also got a story. My mama's mama passed away when she was 10 years old. So she didn't have a lot of the things that she needed or the things that I felt like I needed. And I don't know why it made me think about Keyshia Cole too. Like Keyshia Cole loved her mama.
Absolutely.
As imperfect as we may have perceived her to be, like she loved her mama.
But it's like all of us know a Frankie or have a Frankie in our life. Have a Keyshia. What was her sister's name? Neffy. Like, we all could relate somehow
to the imperfection.
The imperfection.
And we needed to see, I needed to see it, because it made me appreciate my family, even as imperfect or, as our story is. Like, absolutely. So, that was like definitely one of my favorites. It's been some really good ones though, man. Like, man, I love that conversation with Indy from Maddie's Foods in Kansas City. That was a really good conversation.
And also, like, just what came from that conversation as well.
The blessing of it, like, man. There's a lot of them. I appreciate every last one of y'all who is a part of it, who's been a part of my journey, who just, like, supported, encouraged, like, from the very first episode with Jennifer Parr. Jennifer is, like, my big sister, and I'm sure you guys are going to see more of her, too. But, like, even from that, like... Man, there's been so many great ones. Like
was here.
That was a very first episode, video episode. We recorded that like months before I announced the podcast. So,
wow,
crazy to think about how far Adavia, let's pause because you were right there with me. Like
here, setting up cameras, lighting.
Think about how it didn't look like this when we started it. You know, so to think about how far it has come, I'm just like.
Yeah, but that's where it goes when you know that, one, you believe in yourself, you're being obedient to your gift. That is something that I had a conversation with someone recently, and we were talking about, like, well, what does it mean to, like, be an artist or be a creative? And I said, honestly, for me right now, it's just being obedient to the call. Yeah. I have to answer that call. Yeah. Even if I don't want to sit down and write, I don't want to pull out my iPad, I don't want to do anything, I have to answer it at least. Jot it down, talk to somebody, make a note of it, answer it, because what a terrible day it would be when you no longer hear it and you desire to. And so it's, you be obedient with what you have and you will be given more. When you use what you have.
That's biblical. When you're a faithful steward over the little, God will make you ruler over many. And it's another thing too. It's like, don't wait for it to be perfect. My podcast, the way you see how it's morphed, like even from graphics have changed, quality of the video has changed, audio has changed. You know what I'm saying? Like you just gotta start. And I think that starting is the hardest part though, because it's so much in your head. It's like, well, what if this or what if that? Well, what if it's like, girl, just do it and figure it out along the way. I had no idea that I didn't know. I guess I underestimated the God in me. Just to be as honest as I can be, I underestimated what God could do through me because I felt like this broken vessel. So it was just like,
can I go ahead? One thing that I want, this is, you underestimated the God in you and what God could do through you. And I tell you that I've said this to you before. The vessel, like your vessel is not broken. You don't have, there may be like a little crack or so in the seam, but like you have been rebuilt and it's a new thing now. And so
restore. That's what Pastor Tim was talking about today.
Yeah, it's literally. Yeah. You are restored. You are something new. You are. And this is so interesting because it leads to the next questions I have for you, but the version of you that was, okay, she existed. We've acknowledged her. We have healed her, I hope. So now you gotta be brave enough to know that like this is a new version of Bre. And you have been vulnerable. You have been very open. You have allowed people from all types of like walks of life to come and sit here in your space, in your home. But like now it's time for you to like walk in that light in the new. And like, that is what I, as your friend, as someone who loves you, and I think many of us, like, we are ready to see you truly embrace and know, like, it's in me. Like, God's in me fully, thoroughly.
Thank you.
Not broken, not shamed, not anything. You are human, but you are like, you have a solid foundation now.
I received that. Thank you. You don't even know how affirming that is to me, especially from the conversations and the things that, just what happened today, just in conversation and like how God has been speaking to me. But I'm great. I will say this, like the why is so important to start, because we think that, I gotta have this healed first. I gotta be, it's like, oh no, baby. Like my starting is what blessed me. It's what healed me. It's what helped me come into agreement with who God has called me to be. And for so long I was like, oh, I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. Like, God, please keep me small. Please keep me like, I don't want to be this. And and it was even weird for a time where like when I'll be out in public or I'll be places and people will recognize me, whether it's from my podcast or because like I serve with my church or like with our church or like seeing me doing other things in the city and stuff. So it's just like, I don't like this, God. And I was like, God, I don't want it to go this way.
But it's not maybe you being seen. Maybe it's like God is trying to be seen
through you. Yeah. It's not about you. And that's what God was like, girl, sit down. Like, it is not even. And I think that I needed to learn that though. Because it's like, we put that pressure on ourselves. Like, well, what if this is
human?
Yeah. But it's like, girl, I didn't think that it would get to this point. So it's like, now I feel like at this point, I'm grateful that I learned all those lessons and I came in, like, God allowed me to connect with so many people last year.
Right.
Even things that people that I would have never thought, that would pour into me or bless me or, I'll meet or whatever. But I'm like, God, thank you for exposing me to that. But now I realize that I got to even submit that to you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, whatever it is that you want to do through me, God, have your way. And I think that I have a new attitude. I have a new outlook, and I've definitely come to, like, 2024 brought me to the end of myself Like literally, God. So you fill me up. Wherever you send me is where I'll go. Whatever you tell me to say is what I'll say. Like it's on a whole nother level now.
And with that, what would you say to future Bre for her to hear January 2026?
Ooh, that's a good question. Future Bre, like girl, look at what the Lord has done. That's what I would say. Like, look at what God can do with your obedience. All those times where you felt like you weren't good enough, that this wasn't gonna happen for you, that you weren't enough, because that's something that I've always struggled with, like not believing that I was enough for God to use me in the ways that I only imagined that He would. It's like, girl, look at what the Lord has. Look at what He did with your yes. With a little bit of what you had, look at what He did. And it's not even about you. It's not about your works. It's just about your willingness and obedience, you know?
That's good. Question. All right. What can viewers expect from you in the rest of season 4?
Yeah, we're wrapping up season 4.
Wrapping up season 4. What can viewers, listeners expect, and then what can they look forward to?
Oh, girl, that's something big to ask me on the camera now. Many are the plans of a person's heart, but it is the Lord who He gonna direct me. But I would say why are you doing this to me on the camera? So if you watched the last episode, I wrote like a little 3-day devotional, and I kind of only put it on the episode. I didn't really make it a big deal, but I'm gonna actually.
We're waiting.
I'm gonna actually release like a devotional this year. Merch is coming this year. Lord, I'm gonna use the gifts that God has given me more, like using my voice and allowing Him to use me, send me wherever He wants. So I would say maybe some speaking things, engagements. This is why you need friends like that know you and will hold you accountable. But I would definitely say just more deeper conversations. I would just say to people, I don't know. I trust that God is going to send some people that even I can't even, do it myself. I feel like God is going to take Let It Be to another level this year. And there's going to be, Let It Be is so much more than just a podcast. And I'll say that. That's the biggest thing that I'll say. It's so much more than a podcast. So yeah, like I pray that I can continue to release episodes, but know that Let It Be is going to new heights. Yeah.
And like, let it be a new thing.
Let it be a new thing, girl. You just don't even know. There's so many things in my journal, so many things that it's crazy. I was talking about this earlier today. Like, it's like all those things, like one day it's like one day is here. Like, what you gonna do? And
one day is right now.
Right now. And so it's like, oh, okay, God, He gave me the grace to prepare and like deal with my insecurities and deal with those things. But now it's like, well, I've come to the end of myself. And so God, I have to just be like this. So, you want me to say this? Well, I trust that you're going to give me what I need to get there or to do. And so I'm scared.
But we are welcoming in the new.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah. That's actually, that sums it up. There's one more question, but I feel like that was it.
What's
what it needed to be.
Not important? Oh, okay.
Not that it's not important, but
okay.
I think, yeah.
Well, thank you for asking me that. And thank you for putting me on the spot in front of the world to
yes, accountability.
Literally, because now they can be like, where the merch? People already be asking me like, how can I get that? Because I've been low key like kind of testing out, like just trying to figure out what I like. Because I'm a person like I like merch is like, it's like one of my things. Like every show I go to, every concert, I always buy merch.
This girl has concert shirts from the Scream tour.
So I literally do. It's always been my thing. I don't know, and I don't even wear them. They just hang up in my closet. I'm about to start wearing them. But yeah, so people be asking me about merch and things, but I think I was just too scared. But now I'm finna just try, like just like with the podcast. I didn't know where it was gonna go, and so there's a lot of things that I'm gonna be doing. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. So cheers to your new things, friend.
Thank you. Cheers.
This is sweet tea and look. Can I say the name?
LaCroix.
LaCroix.
Sparkling water.
Okay.
Okay. Cheers. Thank you so much, Debbie.
You're
Thank
welcome.
You for
I was a little parched.
Thank you for just your willingness to continue to support me, to encourage me even behind the scenes, to help me, to take pictures. Even when you probably don't want to take pictures, you still do it, and I appreciate you. But I just thank you for, like, friends like you are important. And so the same way that, like, God is, like, evolving and stretching me, like, know that, like, I see God in you too. I know that he's giving you a gift. I know that he's called you to new heights, and just know, like I told you before, I won't force you, but I'm gonna definitely hold your hand, like, and I want you to come with me, you know what I'm saying? So as long as we all, like, evolving and, like, just allowing God to order our steps, like, there's so many great things for you too, friend. So
Absolutely. Claim it.
yes, ma'am. Well, that's it.
That's it. That's
Thank
all,
you so much for tuning in to another episode of Let It Be the Podcast. Like I said, Happy New Year. And I hope that this conversation was something that probably made you smile, made you think, made you reflect. And I hope that it encouraged you, like, wherever it is that God has you, whatever it is that he has maybe given you an idea for and you were afraid, just start. Like, Let It Be is not, even now, like, it's not where I want it to be, but I've been consistent. It didn't matter how many views I had on my episodes, how many people liked my stuff, how many people reposted. I ain't do it for y'all. I did it for me and for God. You know what I'm saying? And for audience of one, whoever was on the other side of, like, what God, like, whoever is on the other side of, like, who I'm speaking to at that moment. Like, so my validation don't come from the world. It come from God. You know what I'm saying? And so I just pray that, like, as you go into this new year, you think about, like, how do you see yourself? How do you want to evolve? Like, what, like, do some inventory of your heart. Like, okay, I don't want to live the same year again. I don't want to keep playing it small. I don't want to wait till it's perfect. Like, just say yes. And I promise you, God will, or he will give you everything you need along the way. Because that's what he's doing with me. And I'm going to continue to be obedient until he tells me to do something else. So Let It Be the Podcast is definitely going to greater heights this year. But that's it. That's all. Thank you so much for listening. If you are listening and you want to watch the episode, search Bre Fergie on YouTube. You can find me on social media at Bre Fergie. I'm on Instagram. I'm on I guess Threads. TikTok is still here at this point, unless they take it from us. But you can follow me on all social media platforms at Bre Fergie. You can follow the podcast at Let It Be the Pod or Let It Be Podcast. If you want to collab, you got ideas, or you want to donate any of the things. If you want to donate to Let It Be, it's hashtag Let It Be Pod. You can make sure you visit my website and sign up for my email list. That's something I hadn't announced yet, but, like, I'm going to be sending out newsletters and things like that, and just ways to get involved and maybe exclusives and things. But make sure you go to brefergie.com, sign up for my email list. Friend, you want them to find you? Mm-mm. Okay.
No, I don't.
You okay?
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm excited for the rest of this season. And I got some really dope guests coming up in this season. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you later. Bye.